Welcome to the One Bloody Take movie podcast, where we go back in time several decades to browse the aisles of your local video store. I'm Paul.
And I'm Russ.
And today we're renting the 1988 movie Sleepaway Camp II, Unhappy Campers. So get your popcorn and snow caps ready while we give you our bloody take. This is the sequel to the original Sleepaway Camp. It does have a lot of the same people involved behind the scenes, but clearly there's a shift in this movie in tone and execution compared to the first one. And to be honest, I'm here for it. I think the second one's a better movie. I have a couple questions here and there about what happens, but this is a movie where we get, famous sisters of famous people together to make a movie about people getting slaughtered at a sleepaway camp. We have Bruce Springsteen's sister, who knew he even had any relatives, and both Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez's sister as well, and neither of them have really gone on to any kind of greatness, walking in the shadow of their more successful brother. So it makes sense.
Which is odd because I forgot that she was in this when we said we are going to do this one next week, and we had talked about Emilio.
Right.
How he felt like he was a much greater star than when you look back on his body of work. Well, he's been in 47 movies.
Right.
She's been in 44. And she's an afterthought.
Completely.
And yes, and there's, not to say that she's bad at what she does, but I wouldn't necessarily say that she's great at what she does.
No.
In comparison.
Sure.
But
what's her Breakfast Club? What's her Young Guns?
Heather's.
But is she important? I mean, is she?
She's the friend that tries to ground Veronica. Like the non-popular kid that gets left behind when one of the kids tries to become popular. All movies always have something like that.
Yeah, of course.
When that scenario, Betty, I forget Betty something. Betty Lou, I want to say, maybe. I'm not sure, but okay. Her name is Betty something in it. So I don't think there's any standouts that she's been in that you would instantly think of like Emilio.
Right. That's the difference. There's not anyone like timeless. Well, I mean, Heathers is a timeless movie, don't get me wrong, but there's not one timeless role that she has that you can point to. And if you just say Emilio Estevez's name, there's probably 3 roles that everybody instantly associates him with, regardless of your age or your film consumption habits.
And I would argue that you could put anyone in her role and the movie's going to play the same.
That's
right. Where with Emilio, that might not work out in all the situations.
Yeah,
depending upon who the replacement is.
There's not another coach for the Mighty Ducks as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the sequel, like we said. This happens 5 years after the slaughter that is the first Sleepaway Camp movie, which immediately brings me to my main question. And I realize we're jumping right in with a spoiler here, pretty much. But our main killer in this movie is our main killer from the first movie, right?
Correct.
Okay. And this camp is 50, 60 miles from the
60 miles.
Okay.
Yes.
And this is
so an hour drive.
And this is 5 years time span.
I think it was 5 or 6 or something, but something like that. It enough time has passed.
It's less than
to
a decade.
Where now, yes, they're grown up.
So here's my first question right away. You have this camp where this horrendous slaughter happened. I'm sure, even in 1983, this made the news across the country because of the scope of this,
and especially when you would have found out the juicy details, how the kid got to be the kid, and the death in the water. So there's going to be so much more to attach on, even if it was just the murders.
Right. So it's fair to say that the country is aware of what happened, and the country 100%. Is aware of who did it.
Yes.
And now we are 5 years later, 1 hour away, and everybody's just going to camp like nothing happened, with someone with strikingly similar name to the killer from the first movie. I find this to be an extremely odd circumstance. I realize there's a whole lot of, suspension of disbelief when we go into these horror movies to begin with, but at least, like, for example, in the first Friday the 13th movie, we kind of clear up an entire scenario of what happened that all centers around one person and their psychosis and their son's death. And then, like, the son's dead and the revenge has happened. Like, that's been put to rest. Like, there's no secondary thing. Like, she's killing because she's a Puritan, and that's not a thing that's gonna, like, sort of disappear at any point in time, that you would just, hey, were you guys camping at this? Or, oh no, we've gone down the street, so we should be fine, even though we have someone with the same exact name. And I understand that we changed actresses, but that looks strikingly similar to the person from 5 years ago. Let's just set up shop here. Seems like a weird.
She did change her last name.
Oh, well, that's different.
So but like I fully on board with what you're saying, because even at some point, I believe it was Sean was kind of like, hey, what were those murders? It was a guy, then it was a girl, Peter Baker.
Yeah.
And, so he can remember Peter Baker, but he can't remember Angela.
Right.
Even though he's saying it constantly. And I feel if you live in this area and you go to that camp, and he said, I almost went to that summer camp, but my dad didn't have the money.
Right.
So that's going to make an impact on him.
As well, it should.
It would be like if he lived in Crystal Lake and someone said, shame about Pamela and Jason Voorhees. And he's like, who?
Right.
Like it doesn't make any sense that people wouldn't know the name Angela.
Right. And then at one point, somebody's just like, hey, wait a minute. You're Angela Baker, the killer person. Yeah. And then even at that point, there's no, like, disbanding of the group. Everybody's just like, oh yeah, she's the serial killer from the previous movie. Let's just hang out and see how this plays out. I'm pretty sure I know how it's going to play out, fellas.
Yeah.
So that was my big gripe with the movie, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I honestly, I wasn't sure how you were going to take this movie, like whether you were going to enjoy it or not. So I was surprised to hear you say that you liked it more than the first one.
I did.
I didn't like it more than the first one, but that doesn't mean that I didn't like it.
Understood.
So it's like 1A and 1B.
Okay.
Type of thing. So yeah.
It's a sequel. It carries the legacy of the first movie with it, but it's a very different movie.
Yes.
And it's as close to almost being Scream-ish as a movie might have been in 1988, before there was, what Scream is like 96 or 97. So there's a much larger body of work to pull from in what they're doing in Scream.
Right.
But that leads me to the cover of the VHS tape, which clearly has a hockey mask and a glove with knives on it and all this stuff. So there, in Sleepaway Camp 2, horror movies exist, and these big horror icons exist inside of that movie. And so everything after that becomes a little bit meta, with the exception of the previously mentioned fact that no one is aware of the actual serial killer in their midst.
And we even get Leatherface later too, although I don't see anything that's going to tell me Leatherface is in this movie. If I see this cover, the cover itself doesn't really do much, especially like now. But the name, if I didn't know Sleepaway Camp 2 existed, the name is doing all the work here. The cover can just be a solid color, and it's not going to matter. It says Sleepaway Camp 2. I'm going to rent it.
The first one was good enough that you're all in on part 2. Okay, fair enough.
14-year-old me sees Sleepaway Camp 2, Jason Mask, Freddy Glove. I am pushing people out of my way and running up to the front with this if I didn't know what the movie was.
Okay, and that that makes sense. Once the first one, you're sold so heavily on the first one that the second one just existing is enough to say,
Yes.
I have to at least give this the benefit of any doubt because the first
Yep.
one was great.
Yeah.
And that's I'm with you on that. I'm a little more discerning than you, Russ, but the picture on the cover is, that tells me all I need to know. We got the girl with the backpack and the obvious hints to the fact that there's going to be a lot of killing going on, which we already expected anyway. And I'm good with it. I'm in on this cover, and I'm picking this up. This doesn't go by the wayside. I see this cover, I'm renting this tape that day.
Agreed.
The story, as we kind of said, 6 years after the brutal murders at Camp Arawak, we check in on the campers going to Camp Rolling Hills, located only 60 miles away, and Angela is back and ready to kill anyone who misbehaves. That is a common 80s trope, the 80s. When you do anything, like I said, she's puritanical. When you sex, drugs, and rock and roll will get you killed. When there aren't adults keeping their eye on you, and then sometimes even when there are adults, you're in peril as well. And that was never really clear in any of those cases. I'm not picking on this movie, but like I was never really clear why horror chose that as sort of the trigger point. Like your slasher flicks, your target audience for your slasher flicks is probably kids, boys 16 to 24, let's say. Like that's your main.
Right.
These are the people who will line up to sit and watch people get artificially slaughtered on TV and then root for it, and your whole framework is, the things you love the most, watch people get their eyes plucked out because they're participating in those things. It seems like a weird construct that these movies fall back onto.
I just thought of something now, so this isn't fully fleshed out, so there might be holes in my logic here. It's easier to accept that the harlot is getting killed, that the dope fiend is getting killed, that the thief is getting killed, as far as a parent's standpoint. So as kids, we're not going to care. We just want to see the activity happen in the movie. We don't necessarily care who the activity is directed at. But if you can fall back on it and go, yes, but all the people that they're killing are bad people, term used loosely as,
Sure.
As far as that definition, but then it might be easier to sell. Well, little Bobby's not going to want to have sex and do drugs when he sees there's killers out there waiting for this to happen. So you might be a little more permissive then with allowing this to exist without complaining and demanding it stop. Again, I haven't really thought about it. It just came to mind now.
That's an interesting point. In so much as, you're going to show this brutality on screen, and if you can pass it off as almost a they deserved it sort of situation, it goes easier to the parent sensibilities. I can buy that as a thought process. I will tell you this, my son is getting to be of this sort of age here where these topics are going to come up. If he comes home to me at any point in time and says, well, I was going to, but then I was concerned that Freddy would come and kill me, I'm going to disown him and send him to military school.
But we do live in a different time.
We do, no question about it. So
I think it was easier to sell kids on, if you do A, B will happen.
Yeah.
That's why people won't eat watermelon seeds.
Right. Well, they'll grow out of your lungs, and you'll have watermelon trees in your ears.
Yeah.
I see we had the same grandfather. That's interesting. So anyway, Sleepaway Camp has become a franchise.
Yes.
And I think depending on your viewpoint, 1 or 2 is the peak of the franchise. It's either 1 or 2. 3 is not good. 4 is worse, and 5 is just basically like a best of 1 through 4, pretty much.
Backwards.
Oh, 4 is the one.
4 is the best of.
Oh, okay.
And then 5 is the newer one.
Oh, okay.
But yes, like 1 and 2 stand on their own.
Yes.
Which is odd because I never really gave it any thought until now about how closely 2 and 3 were released, 88, 89.
Yeah.
When we see that there's not a ton of activity always happening, but you have a lot of extras in the second one. Just standing outside, filling out the tables. So there are other people that never have talking roles in it.
Okay.
3 is because I always thought like, wow, their budget's been cut in half because they just have some kids from the city and some do-gooders. And the whole thing is to like try to get them to be nice to each other, more like a social experiment instead of a summer camp. So I'm like, wow, they're really scratching the bottom of the barrel trying to come up with ideas here. But as soon as 2 stopped, they shot 3. So if you're going to make 2 at that level, how is 3 so much worse?
Well, I think you're answering your own question inadvertently. Yeah. There was no time to prepare for 3.
Yeah.
At least. So I think you have even more of a point than you're meaning to make. But I think 1 and 2, if you took 2 and changed the name of it and just gave the general outline of the plot of there was a horrific serial killer over here and now we're at camp over here, and that's just all the information you know, I think 2 plays well all by itself. I don't think you needed the full backstory of 1 to make 2 work as a pretty good horror movie. In fact, I might be able to make the case that it even works a little bit better if it's not Sleepaway Camp 2, going back to the Scream comparison that I have, to where that universe that Sleepaway Camp 2 exists in, 1 isn't a real thing. It's just a story that you knew from before.
And she's pretending to be that killer, just like they were pretending to be Jason and Freddy.
Right. Either she's pretending to be that killer or she is that killer, but it's irrelevant to know the entirety of 1 for 2 to work. Right. So they're both fully fleshed out movies, really kind of in their own universes, and then 3 and 4 and 5 just become cash grabs. So So you're filming 3 right after you got done 2, and it's just like, hey, they're still giving us cash, so let's hurry up and keep making movies till they come to their senses.
Because part 3, everyone was reduced to a stereotype, and I know you're always going to have stereotypes to a certain extent in these movies. You need to fill out certain roles, but like that's all they were. It was like they've been on the air for 7 seasons on television, so now they're just flanderized. So like someone's name is Snowboy.
Yes.
Like, why is someone's name Snowboy? And even if that's what his friends call him, if I'm a counselor and some stupid fuckhead kid comes up and is like, my name's Snowboy. No, it's not, Bob. It's not Snowboy.
Maybe he's big into coke. You don't know.
Yeah. And like when you were talking about how meta things are, I would have loved Sleepaway Camp 3 Baba O'Reilly to be the name. Just because, everyone's always confused
for the 6 people who know
that.
the correct name of the title.
Yes. And that made me think of, I don't know if you're familiar with Joe Pera. Used to have a show on Adult Swim. Also does like stand-up comedy and stuff like that. It's very it's all like, I honestly don't know, because I believe he is always in character. He's just like this real nice, subtle guy.
Okay.
and the show is outstanding. Oh crap, why can't I think of his name? Connor O'Malley. Connor O'Malley's in it too. Just there is an episode that if you ever think like the world sucks and everything is just on fire, just you can watch this one episode and feel actual joy. He discovers Baba O'Reilly by The Who, and it's set in current times.
Okay.
And he goes crazy. Like, he's dancing around his house. He picks up his dog. It's like the best montage ever. At one point, he grabs a box of tissues and is pulling one tissue out at a time as he's just dancing to the song, having the most wonderful time any human can experience. And if anybody feels a tenth of that joy in their life, they know that they're happy. Like, that is how pure and amazing that moment is. So if you haven't seen it, I can't recommend the whole series enough, but especially that one particular episode where Joe discovers Baba O'Reilly by The Who.
I will take a look at that. That looks like it's season 1, episode 6. And I will follow up on that at another time.
Enjoy.
I would like to see someone experience joy in this world, because that doesn't happen much anymore for me.
No.
I got a high school teenager and me and my wife, and there's not much joy in Mudville.
Well, that's then don't watch Sleepaway Camp for the Survivor, because it's completely void of any meaningful emotion. 90% of the movie is just clips from the other movie, and they're not even shown in a way that makes sense. It's not like, oh, do you remember when this happened? And like Family Guy, then they play the clip. No, it's just clips. And the whole concept is there was this girl, Allison, that went to camp. She lived, and now she's struggling with that. And then guess what? Someone tries to kill her later. It was like they had money for 4, shot a few scenes, ran out of money or ideas, and then just went, shit, don't we have the rights to the other movies? Yep, fill it in. Because that is what it is. At the end of the movie, it's like 10 or 15 minutes of actual original content. And the rest, other than her pondering on the lake, is all footage we've seen.
I think that's exactly what happened. I think 4 was being filmed and they ran out of money halfway through production.
I know I've seen it. Like, I honestly believe I've repressed this because I had like the box. I've owned this movie. And when I saw 4, it was like, oh, there's a 4. And then once I started watching, I was like, God damn it, I remember this now. But I had not seen Return to Sleepaway Camp. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I am not.
Oh, it is a giant piece of shit.
I can't imagine.
It centers around this kid, Alan, who is like Eric Cartman if Eric Cartman was 10 times more unlikable and incompetent. And like, the whole thing is like fart jokes, and they all think Alan's the killer, and it's it just awful. A lot of times I will say, no, still watch the movie. You need to experience it. No, I would sooner watch Sleepaway Camp 4, The Survivor, than watch Return to Sleepaway Camp again.
I two things. First of all, I dismiss your premise that Eric Cartman is unlikable. I dismiss your premise that he's incompetent, because the thing that makes him so great is his extreme competence.
Oh no, that's what I meant. I meant he's very competent.
Okay.
Alan is like him but not competent, and Eric Cartman is unlikable from his classmates' point of view.
Sure.
Is where I was going with that.
Sure.
So it's kind of like the camp views him that way.
Okay.
But no, I'm not talking about personal opinions here. I was talking about like peer related. Yeah.
I understand. So back to the Sleepaway Camp here. again, the movie starts out with them discussing, sitting around a campfire telling ghost stories, which is a very common thing at camp.
Yes.
And they're telling the story of Camp Arawak, basically. So somebody in that group is aware of very specifically what happened, when it happened, and how close in proximity it was from where they are. And then we get like a weirdly current sort of comment of the doctors gave him a sex change and our tax dollars paid for it.
Yes.
Which was wild for that to pop up in 80, 89 or whatever
just like
it was.
I wrote Sean, leader of the Young Republicans.
They're the middle-aged Republicans.
And also when you're talking about things kind of being a little meta in this, they discuss, like what happened to the girl. And they say, I heard two stories, one that she's dead, and that the other is she's in Hollywood playing the dark-haired girl on Facts of Life. Pamela Springsteen's first acting role was in the Facts of Life.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so
I figured they were referring to Joe, but this makes more sense.
And even, and it's, it sounds like Joe didn't kill anybody.
No.
I don't know if you know this, but Blair does Collector's Call on MeTV. Every Sunday night, they go into the home of a like mega collector, and they just talk about their collections, and like, I got this way, I paid this for it, it's worth this now. It's really cool just to look at what everybody has, and some of it's just like Star Wars toys, and other it's like, oh, I own the Batmobile, so it's all over the place.
How the hell did Blair get that job? Like,
I don't know, but she's very good at it.
I have no doubt. I'm not questioning her talents. I'm just saying, like, of all your 80s stars who you would then imagine winding up in adulthood, running down collectors and doing interviews with them, I don't think it would be Snooty Blair from Facts of Life.
Yeah. No, my guess is maybe she knew somebody or just said it was the first one to say yes.
Or in real life, she's a collector, which is perfectly, a reasonable assumption. Just as a character, I don't picture that stuck up bitch being fascinated by your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle dolls.
It may as well be Mrs. Garrett.
Exactly. So right off the bat, they're letting you know that these kids are aware of what happened in part one, and part one, and they're letting you know that part two, what we're watching, exists in the same world that Sleepaway Camp happened in. Because there's plenty of examples, especially in the horror realm, where the sequel is just, I don't want to call it a cash grab necessarily, but it's just another movie that they slap that name on that's unrelated to the first movie, with the exception of the name itself. Halloween 3 comes to mind.
Yes.
In retrospect, I would like to say the Halloween 3 is a much better movie than it's given credit for. And it's given so much discredit because they called it Halloween. And if they hadn't,
call it something else.
I think it would have been a more enjoyable, I think it would have been more favorable in the ratings and things like that. But also that was their plan, is they wanted to make it like an anthology kind of thing, where each year you got a new movie called Halloween, but it was more like a creep show thing where like it's just unrelated to the other chapters in Halloween.
It's just, you've set the expectation as to what you're going to get in a Halloween movie. And just like we just mentioned South Park, some of South Park's lowest rated episodes are the joke ones, where they, you were going to find out who Eric Cartman's father was, but nope, it's Terrence and Phillip. So fans revolt. And like, you should appreciate the hell out of that, because you're still going to get the information. They just played a joke on you, and you should love it.
And you,
but no, I didn't get what I. Yeah, just like, Jesus Christ, understand what you like.
Just to find out it was the Denver Broncos the whole time.
Yeah.
I think ultimately the other problem with the Halloween thing is that, like, to me, and I think it's a fairly, agreed upon thing, maybe not as highly ranked as that, but I think Halloween is the greatest horror movie ever. And maybe not everybody thinks it's the greatest, but most people will have it in their top 15, top 20. when they're rating horror movies. Most people, I see you rolling your eyes trying to figure
Well,
out where it
no.
lands for you.
No. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think. I don't view Michael Myers the way I view Freddy and Jason.
No,
But that's
agreed.
not to say that I don't like him. I even like Chucky more.
Yeah.
But based on what you said, Halloween is a movie.
Yeah.
It's it is a real movie that just happens to have horror in it.
Right.
So
Halloween is a fully fleshed out, beautifully executed suspense / horror movie.
yes.
And it's there's a million ways to look at it, but it is so good that it is squarely placed in the horror, category of things, and it should be. There is zero blood in the first movie. There is no bloodshed in the first movie whatsoever. And you tell someone that, like, I've watched the movie 20 times, there's no blood in that movie, and they're like, wait a minute, none whatsoever. There's no blood in that movie. The only blood you see in the first Halloween is when what's his name? When Donald Pleasance looks over the balcony at where he shot Michael, and Michael should be laying there dead, and there's just a thin puddle of blood from where he got up and walked away. That's the blood in the entire movie. The rest of it is so perfect to me that you just thought you watched this massacre, and you didn't. You just watched a super suspenseful, well executed horror suspense movie. But it's getting away from the point. The point was just that you came back and wanted to build this anthology, but you're building it off the back of like a close to perfect movie. You can't do that. You can do that if your movie was good and you just, you have the name there. Oh, we watched this. But like, this is like a close to perfect movie. You're like, you know what the greatest thing we could do right now is get entirely away from that whatsoever, but keep the name. That wasn't the part you were supposed to keep.
Yeah.
Damn it, John Carpenter. So we're here at the camp, and now we know that everybody knows what has happened at the local camp previously. So everyone should be up in arm, or they should have their on high alert, and they're not. And then we get right into the boobies, because in the 80s, if you had a horror movie, you had boobies. Like, this was like contractually obligated boobies. That's kind of like a thing that they had to have. And that's kind of why you didn't get a lot of high level actresses in these movies, because somebody was going to have to show their boobs, and the ones that had self-respect weren't doing this.
And it led to another problem for me. And not just, it sounds weird for me to say, I have a problem with that. Yeah. But the problem being that it felt like the cabin that Allie and Demi and Molly and all the girls were in. Did you feel like they were counselors the first time you watched this, or did you think they were campers?
No, I felt like they were counselors. Like, they were presented as being sort of 18 to 20-year-olds, which would automatically put them as counselors in my mind.
But no, they're campers.
So am I looking at pretend 15-year-old? Like, what?
Then that's where it starts to get weird, because then when Angela keeps going, I sent this person home, I sent that person home, you're thinking, why is she sending all the staff home? She's not in charge. And even if she was, soon there will be no staff to look after the kids. She's just sending kids home, or killing them and saying she sent them home. So yeah, having the cost of the tits you see causes you to have a lack of understanding as to the roles of the people in the movie. And is that a price you're willing to pay?
Yes.
Maybe. Yeah.
I'm fine. I'm fine with muddy in the water with breasts. That's fine.
So, yeah, like that was that caused some confusion. But the tip patrol's there to take Polaroids anytime the girls are taking off their tops.
Of course.
So you may have picked up on this. The names of the tip patrol are Emilio and Charlie,
which is weird again.
Yes. So who's in this movie? Renee Estevez.
Right.
Who are our brothers? Emilio and Charlie. What's the name that of the character Renee plays? Molly Ringwald. Everyone in this movie
and Allie
is named after an 80s star.
Right, and Allie's
Every
Allie Sheedy.
Single person
that didn't
in this
click
movie.
for me. That didn't click for me until just now.
So even then, like, I was then confused at the beginning, like when she calls Uncle John, because one, like, okay, either he's your uncle and he should know what you've done and he should not have hired you, or you're sending your kids to a place where the guy who runs it wants to be called uncle. Both are bad.
Yeah, there's no upside story where an older gentleman is being called uncle by younger women. Like there's no positive
they're not
story
related
behind
to.
that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And Uncle John is John Hughes.
Either John Hughes or
John Waters, maybe.
Well, I was gonna say, isn't that that's Bender's first name, right? He's Johnny in
John
Breakfast
DiMaggio?
Club. No.
Oh no, that's Judd.
Yeah, Judd Nelson. He's Bender in the Breakfast Club.
He's John. Bender. I go cartoons.
I understand. I understand. We're mature like that.
And there is Judd. Judd is in this movie too.
Right. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So maybe that. Yeah. So then
he's the kid that dresses up like Jason.
That makes this meta even more meta-y.
Yeah.
So we're establishing that this camp is weird. We are establishing that these campers are weird because they sit between being adults and being children, and we're never really it's never really clarified. Like you said, like it's never really laid out. Are these supposed to be adults that we're looking at, or children that are at this camp? That's not clear. But right away we're upset that Allie sleeps in the nude. Allie's getting pictures taken, and this is all upsetting Angela. And we as people who have watched Sleepaway Camp 1, I think immediately pick up on this, right? Like immediately we go, hey, there's this lady named Angela who doesn't like to look at nude women. This seems strikingly familiar to me. But the kid adults don't pick up on this at all.
Right. They just take her as being weird and strange and, annoying.
Right.
The first time all the kids are at the the mess hall. There's two sisters, the Shote sisters, which they call the Shit sisters, which are Jodie and Burke for Jodie Foster and Delta Burke, I think is that, unless it's somebody else. I forget who she's named after if it's not. But one of the things I always look for is inconsistencies in fluid levels in glasses in movies.
Right.
I love to watch them change. And they actually did a pretty good job. There's a lot of inconsistencies. I didn't write them all down, but they're there. But this did not happen. But what I did notice, because I was looking at that, is the Shit sisters had their milk cartons unopened and upside down on the table. And I can't tell you how much that bothered me. It's like, we know they're different. We know they're different because of all the album covers on their wall. It looks like they share a bed, possibly, which was weird on its own. But we have Poison, Look What the Cat Dragged In, Dead Milkmen, Bucky Fellini, and we do get a Dead Milkmen song. Later, like You'll Dance to Anything, that is actually played in this movie. So even if I didn't like the movie, I'm going to like the movie now. So, very happy to see that. But their milk cartons are just turned upside down with the cap on the table. And I'm thinking, it's like, there's a discussion going, how do we let our audience know these girls are different from everyone else, even though they act different, they look different, they dress different, they're the ones into the metal and the punk? What can we do? What if we had them turn their milk cartons upside down? I love it.
I just assumed they were Australian.
Yeah. So, it's sometimes I just hate being hit over the head with things when you already know what you're looking at. It's a minor complaint, but it really bothered me for like all of the 5 seconds it was on the screen in the movie.
Especially when they're playing these subtle games in the background, like the names of all the characters are linked to names of other groups of characters that are big at the time.
And we also have Sean still showing his young Republican ways, because the bitch, the Judy of the group, Allie, is trying to make Molly look bad by, talking about. Well, she always tries to, put her down. But somebody asks Molly if she gets stoned, and Molly doesn't really want to reply. And then Allie's like, "That's because you don't." And then Sean's just like, "Good girl." And I'm like, whoa, I feel like, we look at things now and view them differently than we would have then. But I feel like even then, that would have been like, wow, dude, that's kind of creepy the way you said that. Because it wasn't like, no, she's a good girl. He said it really, really weird. And all of that's there, though, to tell us that Molly is the good one of the group, that Molly is going to be the final girl if there is a final girl, and that, she doesn't behave like the others.
Yeah, and just to clear this up, Sean is creepy. Like, this is not something you've plucked out of his commentary. He's a creepy dude with like weird thought processes, regardless of that this is from the 80s or now.
He is nice at times, though. Like when the guys do the panty raid, he just sits down in her bed next to her and sort of protects her, like just casually, like, okay, guys, you're not coming here, type of thing. But is that possessiveness, or is that him knowing Molly's going to be uncomfortable?
She's pure.
So it's
she's pure, so she's a good possession to have. She's not a slut like the rest of those women's.
Yeah.
So Angela's the counselor of the week in this first week. I don't know how you get that award the first week out, but she sure did.
And she didn't do anything.
No, she did not.
Yeah.
There was no time to do anything. It was the first week.
And she gets like a ribbon. Now, I'm sure their thought process was, well, it's the first one, so I don't know if there's another blue ribbon that says second, third, and however many weeks this goes, but it just says first, like she won first place instead of counselor of the week. So this camp isn't springing for extras here. They're just going with what they have.
They barely sprung for good actors and actresses. You want them to spring for ribbons too?
So my question to you here is that they play the Happy Camper song.
Right.
Okay. What we know is that Angela was in treatment for several years. That's where she's been.
Yes.
So a lot of times we're questioning, why did the killer just start to kill? They tell us. So it all makes sense, and that's fine.
Yeah.
In the first one, she never plays a guitar. Right. There's never any mention that she plays a guitar. And even if she did, she's gone several years without playing it. Like I used to play the clarinet when I was Angela's age, but if I picked up the clarinet 6 years later, I'd be like, what the fuck does this do? I have no idea. So Angela plays the guitar. Where did she have time to learn how to play this guitar?
Well, what do you think she was doing in treatment?
I guess she's just...
You got to have a hobby in treatment.
Yeah. And, like the strings can't be a hazard to her or others, I suppose.
Fair enough.
So
she's got those nylon strings like the Fisher Price guitars, but she can learn the fretboard in that time.
Just playing Guitar Hero, I guess.
Yeah, that was big back then. Classic Atari 7800 Guitar Hero. Just a bunch of MIDI versions of old Chicago tunes. So the movie's unfolding, and now, like, from this point forward, as much as I said I liked the movie, and I really did. From this point forward, it goes strictly boilerplate. Like, everything else that happens in this movie is just what would happen in any other horror movie under these circumstances, pretty much to the letter. Like, there's no... Because we as the viewers learn that this person's name is Angela right away. And we learn right away that she is uncomfortable or dissatisfied or unhappy with any sort of impure function. We already know the rest of what's happening in this movie. Like, it's not a surprise to us. There's no twist in this movie. There's no, holy crap, I can't believe they pulled that off. All the rest of this movie is just the execution, and both figuratively and literally. And that's how the rest of this movie plays out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, it's just you know that the bad kids are going to start to die. Typically the worst ones first. Although Allie is not first, and Angela regretted that. But yeah, everything goes exactly as you'd imagine it would go.
Yeah. So we start with Phoebe, and Phoebe heads over to the boys' camp, which it's very unclear in this movie. Like, is there an all-girls camp and an all-boys camp, or is there just like different barracks for each gender? Like, it's not.
I think there's like a west wing and an east wing. Yeah, would be my guess.
Yeah, and sometimes they make it seem like they're like miles apart, but then other times it's like, oh yeah, no, the boys sleep next door and we stay here. Now, in any camp I've ever been to, the boys and the girls are separated, so that's not weird or anything like that. It's just they don't give you a clear line of division of, well, the girls stay at Camp Smith and the boys stay at Camp Jones. It's just kind of like, it's somewhere in between. So
you don't have to take a canoe to get to the other camp, basically.
Right. To run into Bill Murray and all the rest of the counselors. So Phoebe goes over to the boys' camp, and she's around the campfire telling the horror stories. And Phoebe talks about the murders at Camp Arawak, and Angela sneaks up behind her and says, you need to come back to the girls' side of business. And as they're walking back, Angela tells Phoebe she's a slut and says she's going to have to send her home, which this is the point at which we learn that pretty much when Angela says send them home, she's talking about killing them. Sending them back to God, I assume, in her mind is what's happening. So Phoebe somehow gets lost in this. Like I said, like, they don't really clarify what these distances are, but we know Phoebe was able to make it there, but then the way back was just too complicated for her. So she got lost. She looks for Angela. Angela shows up behind her with a log, uses it like a baseball bat, and knocks her smooth out, and then cuts her tongue out. And then when everybody gets up in the morning, Phoebe's stuff isn't there because Phoebe had to be sent home.
Right.
So this is a decent scene. It's well played.
Yeah.
It's well executed. It's decently filmed. Really, as we go through this, there's one kill here that I have a huge problem with, and it's the dumbest fucking problem on the planet. But this one is pretty well done, and we've established now that Angela does not like sluts and will kill them given the opportunity. And so here we are. In case you weren't sure earlier that this Angela is the same Angela from Arawak, we're now getting confirmation.
Yes, we are. And this Phoebe is Phoebe Cates.
Right.
But what you're starting to do here is you're starting to draw, at least in my head, you're starting to draw comparisons. So if you're going to name all your characters after much more popular people in movies, then you're going to be like, well, why am I not getting them? So now it's just, I'd much rather have Phoebe Cates in this movie than this actress that I do not know, if you're constantly reminding me that these other people exist. So while I kind of think it's funny, I think it also, and it's like, I'll put it this way. This movie is the Philadelphia Phillies of movies. So it's kind of like, it's Angela is Bruce Springsteen's sister. Like, did we get Greg Maddux? No. We got Mike Maddox. Did we get George Brett? No. We got Ken Brett. And then even then, to the extent we always get the person when they're no longer the star. Hey, guys, we got Dale Murphy. Can he hit 40 home runs? No, not anymore. We got Danny Tartable. Is he good anymore? No, he's not. Lance Parrish? Oh, he's not good either. Like, that's kind of what this is. You're getting you're getting actors and actresses that aren't the best at what they do, or they're the second fiddle to somebody much better. And even with Renee Estevez, she's the least popular of them all, but that's the one we get.
To the three people who actually got that entire string of references, please send us an email or make sure you like and subscribe for a whole lot of more niche Philly talk.
And if you're Ken Brett or Mike Maddox and happen to be listening, no harm meant. It's just, we're Phillies fans. We understand how this works.
But if you're Von Hayes, it's 100% harm.
Yeah, then you can get bent. There's a couple of things in this scene. Angela's very particular about how some people are killed. So Phoebe's talking. She's running her mouth about the situation at Camp Arawak. So after the death, the statement is made and the tongue is cut out and left on her.
Right. Also,
Phoebe doesn't understand what pain is. She gets walloped on the one side here, and then she goes to comfort herself on this side when she gets hit before she falls down.
Are you not familiar with Newton's cradle?
No.
That's those ball, like they sit on an office desk.
Oh yeah, okay.
Back and,
yeah.
So she hit her on this side, and it's a clacked over to here.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
Just pinballing back and forth in her head with the pain.
Yeah.
And they try to. I can't tell whether they succeeded or failed, so I'm going to defer to you. Angela says, "What a bad camper," after she's been killed, and I feel like there's these like one-liners and zingers that are sometimes said, and I can't tell if they were meant to be funny or just awkward. Like, do you think when they wrote that they were like, that's a good line, or they just went, what's something ridiculous to say here?
So normally in these sort of movies, I feel like the writing is operating at a very low base level. Like, right. I really do. I feel like the writers are in the room going, we're just trying to build bridges to the next kill. That's all we're here for. And in this movie, there's a lot of different examples of, we'll call it subtle, but, in retrospect, it's not really. There's a lot of subtle things that are written into the movie that give you reference to other things, and we'll go back to the names of all the characters are set up in a very specific way for a very specific reason. I think they give Angela some of these lines to just reinforce to you, the viewer, that she's a lunatic, right?
Yeah.
Like Phoebe's done nothing wrong, and Phoebe has committed no evils and no crimes even against Angela specifically. Like, she never goofed on Angela or made fun of her or had other people, and so in order for Angela to kill her, Angela has to like reinforce that it was the right thing to do. So her saying to herself, what a bad camper, is just us seeing Angela as the lunatic that she is.
Because there are parts of this movie that I think are pretty well written.
Yeah.
Like when Angela's talking to Uncle John about letting people go, and he's like, Angela, you got to run this stuff by me before you do that.
Right.
And she goes, oh, just like I did now? And he's like, oh, well, yeah, okay. Like that interaction isn't in a movie where they're just going, I want to pump this out and get it out as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
There's some thought that's going into that back and forth. So that's why I wasn't sure how I was supposed to interpret those types of lines in this.
I just think they're on that line of like uncomfortable, humorous lunacy. Like, they're just south of being Arnold Schwarzenegger one-liners, because even when Arnold will throw them out, there's this brutality behind them. And then a little off-the-cuff joke. What happened to Sully? I had to let him go, right? Like after he just threw a guy off a cliff and plunged to his death. And it's sort of just Angela writing off her actions as being justified and appropriate. But that's because she's a fucking loon.
Yeah, and they even have like a throwaway gag where where, it was like, it's eyeballs and it's grapes, how you put your hand in things you can't see and you say it's something else.
Yeah.
And her spot was teenagers' brains. And they're like, what is it? And she goes, no, really, it's teenagers' brains. Like, I don't even know if she understood that it was wrong to put that out. I think she just went, oh, this is what they want to do. We're doing gross stuff. I'm going to have teenagers' brains. And like that scene alone, it wasn't like there was like this giant Halloween party or anything like that. It was just, a minute gag that they thought to write in, which was good.
Right. So now we've established that Angela is the purity police, and she comes across the shit sisters out in the woods drinking Mad Dog and smoking pot, and they're singing the Happy Camper song, which we've already learned from Angela before with her guitar display that she put on when she won her ribbon. And they have perverted the lyrics to the song to be
slightly
a little more obscene than Angela had originally intended. So Angela sees it all happen, and then kind of just like disappears back into the woods, like almost like she's just making note of what happened.
Yes.
And then she's checking around to kind of see where the sisters have wound up. She's looking for them, basically. So she goes back into the woods the next morning to look for them, and she finds Jody passed out, and Brooke is making out with Ralph, and she tells Ralph to leave. And this is so beautifully 80s misogynistic of an execution of this scene, and it is as it should be. I'm not making fun of the scene, but her issue is with all of this impurity, and there's Ralph right there engaging in the same exact level of impurity, but she gives him an option to leave safely and go, and he does, because only women can be whores and sluts, men cannot be. So Angela goes back out further into the woods. She finds them. She lets Ralph leave, and then Brooke is being grilled because, of course, and she's covered in weed, and she wakes up and she sees that the skeleton of her sister has baked next to her. Look dried and overdone. And then Angela pours alcohol on Brooke and lights her on fire and burns her to death. So again, we're killing the impure, and we're killing them with methods that they themselves have inadvertently invoked, right? Like Angela gets killed by alcohol, and Brooke gets killed basically by burning on a stack of weed.
Yes.
And this is where we get, like you said, like the little one-offs, the say no to drugs.
And
and again, it's just Angela is a loon. And so these are the things that a lunatic would say and do in the middle of lunatic things.
Earlier, I had referred to one of the Shoat sisters as Burke. Her name is Brooke, as in Brooke Shields. So that's why I was trying to figure out somebody from the 80s that it could have been.
Which Burke was.
Yeah. No, it's Brooke. And this is also where you find out that the people being sent home are campers. Because Uncle John says, you can't. Well, right after this, a kid is actually sent home. A kid wants to go home. And Uncle John says, 2 down, 38 to go, referring to Phoebe and the kid that was just sent home. And then Angela's like, well, and 2 more went home. So this is where I'm like, these aren't counselors. These are children.
Turns out it's 36 to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even when Angela is talking to Uncle John, while she's still using this phraseology of sending them home, she is accurately defining their infractions. The in most camps, had these girls been caught getting up to this by counselors and whatnot, there is a chance that they could have actually been kicked out of the camp. They were breaking the rules. Her sending them home is a little different than usual, but she's being completely forthright in what she's seeing and saying because she really thinks she's doing the right thing.
Yes.
So then we're moving along in the movie. As I said, everything is playing out just like it should.
Right.
The girls are now going to have a storming the cabin thing as revenge for the boys storming their cabin earlier. Now, I would like to point this out just as an aside. There are a lot of times in life where just because the behavior is the same doesn't mean that it is the counter maneuver to the original behavior.
Right.
The boys storming the girls' cabin, it upsets the girls. They're shocked. They're caught off guard. The girls storming the boys' cabin is something that they go to bed every night hoping and praying for. Like, it's it's not a commensurate response, even though it's the same response.
I can't remember the name of the movie. Fatal Games.
Okay.
It's the one guy who was watching the girls shower, so the punishment is they bring him in there.
Right.
Yeah, that's what he wants.
That's what he was gunning for.
That's why he's here.
Literally what he was doing.
So, yes, even though you're covering someone in shaving cream and holding them down to the ground,
yeah,
that is what they want.
Thank you for the closer view.
Yeah.
I don't understand what you're trying to punish me for here, but
yeah,
I will accept this punishment frequently.
Yeah.
So the girls storm the boys' cabin, and just to really get the extra kick of revenge, Mare flashes everyone. And just as she's doing that, here comes Angela, the boredom police. And Angela sees Mare flash everyone. So then, for some reason, well, not for some reason, but Angela and Mare are sitting in Angela's car, and Mare says she wants to go home, which to Angela, I guess, is like permission for what's going to happen next. Like,
yes.
she asked to go home. So Angela says, just apologize and everything will be fine. And Mare says she'd rather die than apologize, which, good news, you're with the right person for this 50-50 to play out the way you're hoping. So Angela starts going through the backseat of the car, and Mare asks if she's looking for a gun, jokingly, and Angela says no, she's looking for a drill, and she finds a drill, and she kills Mare with a drill. Now, I'm not totally sure on this one, and I don't feel like doing the deep research on this, but were cordless drills a thing in like 87, 88?
I don't know.
Or does Does
I
Angela just have an
remember
extension cord running from her car all the way to the cabin?
I don't know about a drill like that, but I feel like that Black & Decker screwdriver drill,
yeah,
was about that time.
With
that
like
was
no
just like a
torque
stick
whatsoever, though.
Yeah. So I think that existed at least.
It wouldn't have even ripped
yeah.
their hair out.
Yeah, but that's something I didn't even think of, just because it's so commonplace now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good point. And Mare is Mare Winningham.
Sure.
In this. And I absolutely loved how TC handles things versus how Angela handles things. He wakes up, sees the chaos, and is just like, wake me when you guys are done. Like just letting them do their thing, not caring. Where, like you sneeze out of turn and Angela's gonna kill you. But there's something you mentioned when, saying gonna be sent home and how that's code for I'm going to kill you. And that made me think of something with Phoebe's death that I wanted to bring up. I don't think Angela was actually going to kill Phoebe on the way back.
Okay.
Because when she tells, while she tells people she sent Phoebe home, there's no need to tell Phoebe, I'm going to send you home if you're actually just going to kill her. It's when Phoebe stands up to Angela and is defiant that Angela pauses and you see her thinking, and then she walks off. So I don't know if Angela went to this camp with the intention of killing. I don't think she actually did. I think the chain of events set her in motion, and it didn't have to be something big. It's as simple as, you're disrespecting me and acting like a slut, I'm going to kill you. But I don't think she was actually waiting for the first moment she could to kill someone. It's just how she's reacting to the environment she's in. Just like I don't think Angela went to the first summer camp to kill people. I think she was going through, a great internal struggle, and then when people were adding to that, she was eliminating the stress that they were adding to her life, kind of.
Okay, I mean that's certainly a thought, that like her prime directive wasn't to be the purity police. She just keeps finding herself in the situation over and over again.
Right, because it was just the camera just stays back a little bit longer, and you see Angela kind of thinking, and then, whoop, I'm off to do what I'm gonna do now. Because, like, if you're gonna kill her, it's like, why are you gonna say, well, I'm gonna have to send you home to your parents, unless you're gonna try to trap her to go into some secluded area, but you're already in a secluded area, so she can kill her at any time.
Right.
It wasn't until she spoke back that she was like, well, I'm just going to kill you now.
So maybe it's not the titties and stuff that are the problem. It's the back talk. Is that what you're saying?
I think it's it's one of the triggers. Angela has many of them. But yes, it's the back talk. It's the being promiscuous, because she went to, because Phoebe was even like, I wasn't doing anything. TC was there. So, she wasn't really doing it. Like we said, she wasn't doing anything wrong. She just started cracking wise with her, and then that's when Angela couldn't handle it anymore.
Right. Angela's not here for the joking.
No, she's not. Only she may joke.
So, for whatever reason, Anthony and Judd decide that they want to scare Angela, but TC kind of lets her know that some scaring's about to happen. So Anthony dresses up like Freddy, and Judd dresses up like Jason, and Judd says he's got to go to the bathroom, and he's also upset at Anthony because Anthony lost the Freddy Krueger glove at some point here.
Is this the death that you mentioned?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I had a feeling.
So Judd leaves, and Anthony sees the glove sitting on a log, and he thinks that Judd had found it and just kind of put it there, which doesn't make sense in and of itself, but it's still not my problem with this. And what we find out is that it was Angela. She found the glove, or she stole the glove, or however it works. She's got the glove, and she slices Anthony's neck, because Anthony kind of leans in and talks like as if he thinks he's talking to Judd, which makes a little bit of sense. And she slices Anthony's neck. Now, I got two problems with this. The first one is the obvious one, which is, was Anthony walking around with a razor sharp Freddy Krueger glove this whole time? Or was he, did she have time to sharpen it? Was it metal? There's a lot of questions about that part of it. But the thing that irked me the worst, which this is one of those things, she kind of takes the glove and swipes down with it, and the slice is across his neck left to right. And I don't know.
Was he laying horizontally at the time?
No, he was standing up and leaning over. And of all the things to bug me about this scene and the execution of it, the fact that she scrapes her hand horizontally or vertically, and the cut is horizontal, irked me to death. I stopped the movie at this point and walked away for a few minutes to recoup, and I was enjoying myself up until now.
I did not notice the horizontal vertical thing, because I was so fixated on the fact that Judd is upset because the glove is missing, and he says, I got to go take a piss. And as soon as he steps away, Judd is somehow behind with the glove, laying down, and is unresponsive when being talked to.
Right.
There is no way in hell that if I'm Anthony, I'm going, well, clearly that's Judd. I know I just saw him go that way, and he's super upset about the glove. So I'm sure he had time to take a leak, find the glove, put it on, lay down without alerting me to his presence at all. Like that's where my head was in this scene. And then you know, I've had a few Freddy gloves and I've seen Freddy gloves. They're all plastic. It's so yeah, no. Even if you sharpened the plastic on this, you're not getting a cut that deep. You just kind of be like, why the hell did you do that?
Right.
Now I have a slight paper cut on my neck.
I have irritation.
It hurts like hell, but
Yeah.
So
I could make most of that work, with the exception of the fact that he saw Judd walk the other way.
Yes.
Right? Like I can make that whole situation work and say, Judd was legitimately pissed that he lost the glove. But we didn't see it earlier, but when he lost it, Judd had picked it up right away and was just laying into him for having lost it. And then he was going to scare the crap out of him and say, and that's why you got to hang on to the glove, Anthony. And all of that could have worked, except he literally saw him walk the opposite direction.
Yes.
And it was just like, well, I guess he levitated back over here, obviously. And that makes sense.
And they kind of back themselves into a corner here, and they can't show us Angela pick it up. It doesn't matter that we know if Angela has it or not, because we know that Angela's the killer.
Right.
Angela's dressed as Leatherface right now, so it wouldn't make sense for them to watch all that happen, because if she's dressed as Leatherface, she can just kill him as Leatherface and not have to pick up the Freddy glove to do it.
Right.
So they were kind of limited into making it make sense for us, because what I would have liked to have seen is Angela following them, seeing the glove, and then watching her lay down. And then I probably wouldn't be thinking as much about, well, Judd just walked away. How is he there so quickly? Because they're explaining other things. And Anthony is Anthony Michael Hall. And as we said before, Judd is Judd Nelson.
Yes. And for a second, the way that it was all filmed was extra confusing to me, because I thought she was dressed like Jason. And I realized, into it that she was dressed like Leatherface. But for a moment, I thought she was dressed like Jason. And now I have to believe this is the series of events. Anthony loses the glove. Judd walks away to go to the bathroom, but Anthony thinks that Judd was able to teleport back the other way with the glove. And then Angela kills Anthony, quickly changes into Judd's outfit, and then kills Judd while wearing Judd's outfit. It's like, this is all way too much. And I was like, oh no, wait, she's wearing a different costume altogether.
It adds a little more. And we do know that teleporting cannot happen in this movie because there are no Waffle Houses.
Correct.
So there's that's the only way.
Hasn't been invented.
Although Angela, just later in the movie, she constantly always appears way ahead of Molly after she was trailing Molly a good distance without even taking a shortcut or explanation. So maybe there is a Waffle House and we just can't see it.
But that is permissible in these movies, as we already have learned from Friday the 13th movies, that if you are committed to the path you're taking and you know where you're headed, you will always be faster than people running in a panic away from you.
And I actually cut them some slack because they have someone dressed as Jason and someone dressed as Freddy, and she's dressed as Leatherface. So I know when I see that, I'm not to take it so seriously that it's almost making fun of when that happens.
Oh, there's no almost. It was 100%. Like this is where they're really steeped in the meta of this movie and the sort of, we're doing all the horror tropes for you to hang out and enjoy. And then if it wasn't clear to you up to this point, here's Freddy's glove and Jason's mask and Leatherface's chainsaw, just so that you know we've seen all the horror movies. These kids live in the horror movie universe. And so, this is absolutely willfully making fun of those movies. And we do learn that Angela is the kind of person who, once she's given a task, she will complete it.
Yeah, and like that's not a one-liner, but it's said like a one-liner. So, like it's like gotcha, okay, I guess, But I like what you said, where she's just so unstable. Like it's meaningful to her when there is no meaning behind it, type of thing.
Right. So Angela gets back to the cabin and hears Molly weeping away. And we learn that Allie has said some mean things about Molly. But Molly is just confiding in Angela. She doesn't want Angela to say anything to anyone. She doesn't want anybody sent home. She just wants, this is why I'm crying. I'm just, just commiserate with me. And that's that.
Right. And especially because Allie says, and I'm sure you'll run and tell Angela.
Right.
So she doesn't want that coming back.
Right. So right away we cut away. And of course, Allie is in the woods having sex with Rob like sluts do. And then Allie heads back to the cabin and there's a note waiting for her. It says to meet her at the abandoned cabin at 5 p.m. signed Sean. So Allie goes. And when she gets there, there's Angela. And Allie wants nothing to do with Angela, so she goes to leave. And as she turns, Angela stabs her in the back a couple times. And then shoves her into the outhouse and into the poop hole in the outhouse. And Allie keeps trying to escape from the poop hole, but Angela has a stick. And she keeps poking her
poop stick. Flush, damn you.
Go down the rest of the way.
She should have had a poop knife. Could have cut her in half. And then I saw when I was in third grade, in the bathroom, in the stall, was a piece of shit so large, I don't know how many Kirks it was, but it was pretty big, that when you flushed it, it wouldn't go down. So of course we're like 7 years old and this is the greatest thing we've ever seen in our lives, making a lot of noise in the bathroom. And I remember the janitor, I remember his name was Pi. He was a really cool guy. And he just comes in, it's like, what are you guys doing? And we look at him, point. He just comes over with a knife. He's like, I'll fix this. Cuts it right in half and flushes. And part of me was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And then the other part was like, now you got shit on your knife, dude. So little story about from when I was in elementary school, having to do with poop that won't flush.
Knives are washable. And there was a Reddit thread that was like, I don't know, it's got to be probably 10 years ago at this point. Time escapes me. And people were just like, people
I know what you're talking. Yeah.
People who have moved to America from another country, what's the strangest thing? And one person was just like, you guys don't have poop knives. And somebody was like, whoa, hold on 1 second. And it was like I think it was a Middle Eastern guy, but it was about like the diet there is so fiber heavy that like they have to occasionally slice up the poop so that it flushes. And everybody in that thread was just absolutely dumbfounded. Like, what are you even talking about right now? I need whatever the opposite of a poop knife is. I need like a poop sieve.
Just like get like a plunger that has two jobs. Yeah. When you push it down, a knife comes down in the middle.
It's got a dagger
so
in the middle.
Yeah.
Like those, like on the opposite of like those fake switchblades that you used to get on the boardwalk.
And you just comb your hair with it
after you wash it, of course. Your hair, I mean, not the knife.
The whole thing with Allie is I did like the shot from beneath. I thought that was pretty cool. And Angela just goes on this tirade like, what's down there? Shit. And then she just, what's down there? Piss. And then like you're pissing away your life. So she continues on these dialogues, just like with these lines before she does stuff. And then there's leeches down there. And I actually thought that was ridiculous. I'm like, why would there be leeches? So I looked it up. It's like, yeah, there actually can be leeches in these things. So
yeah,
I mean, it's like, if the shit's not bad enough, now you got to deal with leeches, and then it all gets into your raccoon wounds, and it's just going to ruin the rest of your day.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing, right? If you have to use the outhouse, if you find yourself in this untenable situation, don't scooch so far down that leeches can touch your ass. Hover.
Yeah.
Just hover.
Yeah. No, I given the choice,
like a B-17, just drop bombs and then move along.
I think I would sooner shit in the woods than sit on that thing to take a shit.
Yeah, I don't love an outhouse. I don't love a porta potty. I don't like any, like, it could happen in the woods, don't get me wrong, but I don't like the idea of shitting directly where someone else has previously shat without removal in between.
Especially because like wood can be porous.
Yes.
So you're sitting on the shit of everyone that shat before you.
Yes.
Which is completely off topic, but this has been bothering me.
Oh, good.
Well, not this whole Taylor Farms thing.
With the
It's
cyclosporine.
because there's shit in the lettuce.
Yes.
So that then I instantly go, well, okay, it's not just, there's not a causation to you eat shit and you get this infection and you then shit for weeks. It has to be infected shit. So then how much non-infected shit is in our lettuce?
So I hear what you're saying. And I believe and it will relate here because it's a food industry thing, but I believe the food industry term would be you don't really want to know how the sausage is made.
I've worked in restaurants. I know what happens.
Okay, so
but it's just wild to me that if it's a 1 in a million chance that there's shit in your lettuce, that the shit is also contaminated. It's just
it's a
meaning
much higher. It's a much higher number than 1 in a million.
Oh yes, but I'm just using that as an example. Like, there's a certain percentage of shit that's going to be infected. So then, what's the percentage that the shit that you're eating is infected?
Well, no. So you're what the hell has happened to this show?
Eat shit and live, Ricky.
You're putting your expectations and your percentages in the wrong place. That's what you're doing wrong. So you are familiar with how lettuce grows, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it should be pretty much a given that your lettuce has shit on it. Like, it's almost an unavoidable fact, right? Because the lettuce is growing up from the ground, which is already inherently partially shit to begin with. And then there's
just like mushrooms grow in shit.
Right. And there's all the animals and all the where the problem comes into play is the water is not getting treated properly, and that shit is getting sucked up and then recycled. And then once you have the bacteria shit getting sucked up and recycled, that's where your problem is. Your problem is in the treatment of the water, not the actual lettuce in the ground in and of itself. So,
okay, because I thought workers were just taking like shits in the field.
No. No. I mean, there may be one or two that like have like a spiteful, streak in them, but no, this is about the water that's watering them being contaminated, and then the lettuce then sucking up that contaminated water. And then that's why ultimately the answer is wash your fucking vegetables before you eat them. And then you're not going to have these issues for the most part.
Right. Or at least reduce the chances of having it.
But no, there's not just like some some undocumented guy taking a deuce on your lettuce before he packs it and sends it to you.
And to be clear, the fault in my head is not even on the person that I thought shit in the lettuce. It would be on the person that wouldn't allow them to use the bathroom because they've already had a break. Right. So they have no choice but to shit in the lettuce.
Ultimately, it comes down to corporate greed.
Yes. Oh, 100%. Like Taylor Farms is responsible for the outbreak. Taylor Farms is now at the White House. Taylor Farms is no longer responsible for the outbreak.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, okay, sure.
And even before any of that, there was like the guys at Taylor Farms were like, hey, we noticed an outbreak. Oh, how many people? Oh, okay. It's still under our threshold for acceptable people who have shit themselves to death. So let's not say anything just yet.
Yeah. Because even Taco Bell got out ahead of the game, and they're unfairly being judged for this. It's not their fault.
They're famous for making people shit themselves to death.
Yes.
And they were like, this is a bridge too far, fellas. We gotta
This time we didn't mean it.
we're just gonna serve you the meat and you do what you want with that, but we're not gonna serve the lettuce anymore.
They started pulling their lettuce before any announcement was made.
Yeah, we're not gonna be the next Chi-Chi's over here.
And they're at least trying to protect their customers. So yeah.
Taco Bell, the famous bastion of health.
Honestly, if it wasn't for the salt content, it wouldn't be that awful.
Yes, it would.
Well,
yes, it would.
I'm not a vegetarian, but I don't like the way most meat tastes. Like I'll have a burger or bacon. I could eat bacon every day and for the rest of my life, and that could be the only thing I eat, and I'll be happy.
Right.
My life wouldn't be that long then, but I'd still be eating bacon. But I do not like their meat. I accidentally, one time I didn't notice they put meat in it, and nope, not for me. It does not taste right. So I just get like the refried beans and everything else.
Which is just the meat mushed up further.
Yeah.
So anyway.
So now that's been covered.
back to our movie, I suppose. So now, out of nowhere, Demi goes to visit with Angela, and for whatever reason, just remembers that she's bored, and that that Mayor had given her her phone number. Which, okay, great, thanks for sharing, Demi. And then Demi calls to speak to Mayor, but Mayor's mom says that she's at camp, which Mayor's mom should be believing that she's at camp.
Yep.
And then she called Phoebe, and it was the same sort of problem. So we can see that Angela is kind of like aware of where this is all heading. So she's starting to line up Demi for the next kill. And I got a little bit of a problem here, but we'll carry this to the end first.
Me too.
So Angela grabs a guitar string, also known in the mafia world as a garrote, and grabs her from behind and strangles her to death with a guitar string. And Leah is kind of seeing this happen and is trying to get in. And when she finally gets in, Demi's on the floor, and then Angela stabs Leah and kills Leah too. Molly comes in and sees the aftermath, which apparently is just that everyone's bed has been cleared out and their belongings have been shipped out, except for Molly's. And Angela says that Molly and Angela are the only two that haven't left the camp as of right now.
How nice.
Yeah. So, this Demi chick.
Yeah.
Angela is the one who has said that these people were sent home.
Exactly.
In fact, she specifically is the one who said she was responsible for sending them home.
Yep.
And Demi has confirmed, more or less, that these two people who Angela has said she sent home had not, in fact, been sent home. Not only had they not been sent home, but they weren't home. And these are two different things, mind you. Because there's the part where, regardless of what Mare or Phoebe may have actually done, if Mare and or Phoebe were kicked out of camp, the next thing that would happen is Uncle John would call their parents and say, your kid has been kicked out of camp. So there could conceivably be a call where you say, sorry, Mare's not here right now, but it wouldn't be, but also we thought she was still at the camp unless something way worse was happening. And Demi should have, first of all, again, should be on high alert, because what the hell is going on at this camp that these people and their belongings are gone, and this one person has told me they've been sent home, and their parents have no idea what I'm talking about. But
and only 6 years ago, an hour down the road, we had the same situation
with a person named Angela.
Yes.
And so instead, Phoebe is just gonna let not Phoebe, I'm sorry, Demi is gonna just let Angela walk behind her.
Yes.
So
while she's combing her hair in the mirror.
So she got
because
what she deserved.
So lax. Yeah. And this is one of those kills where it's kind of like, if she doesn't die, her stupidity is going to kill someone else.
Yes.
So, yeah. And that was my biggest thing. Like, if you're Demi, you do one of two things. You either go to Uncle John, but again, you'd have to question who you can trust here. So I would just call the police.
Yeah.
You just say, hey, look, I'm at a camp and they're telling me these kids are being sent home. I called home, and for 2 different kids, I've been told the kids are at camp. I need you to come down here and find some things out for us.
Right.
Yeah. And the other issue with this kill is usually when people are killed with a wire, there's either going to be like a small piece of wood or something to be able to twist. So the person holding it, who also has
through their
flesh,
own hands.
Yes. Because it's not like, oh, there's just a sharp part here. It should all be just as sharp. Right. So for you to be able to pull tight enough, you're gonna cut your fingers open like her neck was cut open. So it's an inefficient way to kill.
Agreed.
And throughout the whole movie, every time something happened as mundane as you're not supposed to give your food away, I'm telling, Leah was always there to say that. And when she begs for her life, Andrew's like, you're going to tell. And then she gets killed. And Demi is Demi Moore, obviously, and Leah is Leah Thompson.
Right.
Yeah, and if you're Molly, I know Molly's kind of like goody two shoes, everything's sunshine and rainbows type of thing. But you just got to go. You have to go. If you can't clock that Angela's off, and that doesn't mean just because you're off, you kill people, but Angela's off. So, if you know how people are supposed to behave, Angela does not behave like a normal person should behave. Everybody keeps disappearing. We're an hour away from murder camp. I'm just going to head home. Not going to tell anybody. I'm just going to start walking. And once I get to the next town or the next payphone, I'm giving my parents a call.
I'll say this, and I'm in agreement with you, but I'll say this. If I had no idea about murder camp, if I had no inclination that Angela was acting weird, I'm in this bunk, and everyone in this bunk has left unceremoniously in the middle of the night, like they were stealing the Colts from from Baltimore. I'm immediately going to the head of the camp. Yeah. And that might be at my peril, right? Like it might have been a bad idea, but I'm going to the head of the camp and I'm saying, what the fuck is happening here? Yep. I have gone to 100 camps in my life and usually no one leaves at all. Yeah. And my entire bunk has abdicated with no commentary. I didn't hear their parents come and pick them up. Nobody said, hey, listen, it's been great spending the summer with you, but I really got to get the fuck out of here. None of this happened. I just woke up the next day and people who weren't there when I went to sleep had completely cleared out. Something is wrong. We need help. I don't need any other context clues. I didn't need to know anything else besides there were 6 of us. Now there's 2 of us. And 4 of us just bounced and didn't say a word. Something's happening.
And to just if we're going to criticize Demi for not being smart, Molly's a fucking dolt.
Beyond.
Yes. Just all of her actions not only lead to her demise, but had she taken action sooner or even inaction in some cases, she'd be alive and other people would be alive too.
Most likely, yes.
Yeah.
So speaking of this, Angela ties up Sean and Molly, and they're now in the abandoned cabin, which we know is right next to the outhouse, but that's neither here nor there. TC finds out that everybody went to go look for Angela. Also, who's everybody? Who's left? 4 of them are gone. Sean and Molly are tied up.
Yeah.
So all we really have is Angela, and now TC's going to go look for Angela.
Well, the TC knows that Molly and Sean went after Angela.
Right.
So you didn't want that. And understandably so, because you kind of got to feel like maybe Angela's dangerous. We've had to fire her because she keeps sending kids home, but is she sending kids home? So he's rightfully upset he's rightful to question what's happening and fear for the safety of those kids.
Right.
I'm sorry, those 25-year-olds playing kids.
Right. So he finds the abandoned cabin. He goes in, and Angela throws battery acid in his face, which is mean. It's just mean.
And it's his battery from his car, because earlier in the movie he mentions that a bunch of things are missing. And we see these things throughout the movie. Angela's seen with like a bit of rope even before she ties things up. When she cuts her hands are wrapped because a first aid kit was stolen. So that's what I'm saying. Like, they put thought into this, which, about the one-liner. So it's even worse because he mentioned his car battery was stolen. So it's his battery acid.
Right. So it is at this point where a light bulb finally goes off for Sean that this must be the same Angela from Camp Arawak. And Sean, you're a genius that you put this together this early in the game. Good for you.
You solved the case that's already been solved.
For an hour and a half now. 7 dead bodies ago, this case was solved. So Angela wants to know how he knows so much, and Sean volunteers the fact that Sean's dad is the cop who arrested her the first time.
Yeah.
Because she's not already killing people. What you should do in this situation is give her more fuel for her insane fire.
Yes. And even if he doesn't care about his own personal safety, he should be mindful for Molly's.
Sure. So Angela decapitates him, and Molly gets soaked with Sean's blood, which, again, Molly's a moron, but that's, neither here nor there. So Sean's dead.
Yeah.
Angela leaves because we can trust that Molly's not going to be able to. Molly couldn't get out of a paper bag, so being tied up should be secure enough for her. And she's dragging the body, and she says, "Come join the party, Matt. The shit sisters are here." Which, no, if I'm Matt, also no.
Well, Matt's dead at that point.
Right.
Like, we don't see Matt get killed. I don't even know who Matt is.
Right, but he's dead.
But he's dead. Yeah. And there were some things that bothered me going into this, and I can dismiss the fact that Sean walks into a cabin filled with dead people and doesn't see them, but notices the smell and then sees them. And I can dismiss the fact that TC's dead body was in the cabin when Sean walked in, even though he hadn't been killed yet. I can get by all that. What I can understand is Angela's explanation when he says, "How did you even get this job?" And she goes, "Easy. I have great recommendations from doctors, psychiatrists, and even clergymen. I did my time. 2 years of therapy, electroshock, every kind of pill you ever heard of, plus an operation," because they did mention that's, the tax dollars earlier. "I'm completely cured. If I wasn't, they wouldn't have let me out." And I think that's kind of poking fun at our mental health system, even back then, because, yes, we just let people out even though they're not cured. But she's saying, "I have this job because I've been recommended by everyone that was looking after me." So to get a recommendation, you would give that to the person that's hiring you. So the person that's hiring you would know who you are. And if they know who you are, why are they letting someone that killed kids at a camp work at a camp with kids, and when kids go missing, not know that she's behind it?
Because she's cured. Did you not hear her say that part?
I did hear, but I didn't believe her. She didn't sell it for me. So unless this is just a nonsensical speech she's giving, it makes it sound like Uncle John knew who she was, even though Uncle John never gives us any reason to believe he knew who she was. And even if that's not the case, and somehow all these people are saying, yes, she's fit to work here, why? Why would you send her back to a similar scene of the crime for it to all happen again, cured or not?
Well, that's a great question, Russ.
Yeah.
And perhaps Sleepaway Camp 3 will tackle that moral dilemma for us.
Not gonna hold my breath.
In the meantime, we got the dead Matt. We got everybody else is dead besides Molly. And now Angela's fired.
Yes.
I guess that's the appropriate repercussions. I don't know if they ran that through HR or not, but here we are.
Yeah.
And Diane is trying to find Molly. And she sees Charlie and Emilio, and they're staring in a window, which is generally their accepted behavior, except that they are dead and they've kind of been like propped up to look like they're looking through the window. And the one had their eyes gouged out because they were a peeping Tom.
Yep.
Which then leads Diane to run to Uncle John's cabin. And she finds out that Rob has been killed. He's hanging by a rope. And he was stabbed and underwear was stuffed in his mouth. And Uncle John has been killed and his hand was severed while he was trying to call for help, we assume. But what Diane doesn't notice is that Angela is in there hiding, and Angela grabs her and stabs her in the stomach and twists the knife, which is a very,
yeah,
that's a very serious maneuver. So now Angela's leaving the camp because there's nobody else to send home. And she hitches a ride from a woman in a pickup truck. And the driver just...
That you're appropriate to pause there.
I'm working through it. I mean,
yeah,
this scene was unnecessary, but neither here
it
nor
was.
there.
Especially because she has her own car.
Driver lights up a cigarette. Angela asks her to crack the window. And for no reason, the driver just says, the way I see it, I'm too dumb to drink and too fat to fuck.
Yep.
And Molly has come to, and she made it out to the road to try to escape. And a truck pulls up behind her, and Molly gets to the window, and we find out that it's Angela in the truck. Little howdy partner, and scene. And that's the end of our movie.
Yeah.
Again, I thought it was a good movie. I was fine with it because the whole time I'm in the mindset that this is... that self-awareness is like so important in this kind of movie to me. Because if they're winking at me, they're winking with me.
Yes. And in my opinion, the best acting in the entire movie took place at the end here. When this woman is just going on and on, Angela is just stops and looks at her. And you can feel the disgust, because as she's talking, like, everybody has a vice. I've had to quit so many times. I had to quit quitting. And then, ain't no skin off my tits. Like, I was ready to stab her. So Angela is clearly annoyed, and just the look on her face captured it all. So I thought that was very, very well done. For as annoying as this woman in the truck was, Angela's response to it was dead on. And while we don't see Molly get killed, we do learn that in part 3, Molly has died. So she did not survive.
I mean, that's the assumption once
Yes.
Molly's on foot and Angela's in vehicle,
Yep.
that there was not going to be a happy ending for Molly.
Yes.
So all in all, how do you survive the killer in this movie?
It's, again, one of the issues you have is you really don't know you're being hunted. Only Molly had that knowledge, really, before it was too late. So you don't know that you just have to be good. As long as you're good and you don't upset Angela, you have nothing to worry about. But also, like always in these movies, never run to the first house, never run to the first person, never run to the first car. It's always the killer. So wait for that second car, let that first truck go by, and then get a ride with the second one. But again, you have to have the knowledge that Angela's in that car.
Yeah, I think that's the right advice all around, especially they're in a universe where Jason and Freddy and Leatherface exist. So
Yeah.
These lessons have been taught to them quite a few times at this point.
Yes.
If you're Angela, do you do anything differently?
You don't have to, because everything you wanted to do, you got away with. The only thing that I do if I'm Angela, which this didn't make sense to me, is after she killed Allie is in the bottom of a shitter. That means Angela had to go in after her to bring her into the room of dead bodies. And I understand you want to conceal everyone because you don't want to kill somebody, where it's a walking path and other campers are going to see him. So you remove the body from where you killed them and bring them back to the abandoned cabin. No one's looking in the bottom of that shitter. And if they are, they're also looking in the cabin. So it's one and the same. So you didn't need to collect Allie's body from the bottom. If I'm Angela, I don't do that. I just let her rot down there.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I don't want to play in other people's shit. So yeah, that works. Do you feel as though they made the movie they wanted to make, the movie they set out to make?
Yes, I think they knew they were not making a serious continuation of the movie, but instead just kind of hijacking the name and the characters. They even had, I think her name's Felissa Rose, the original Angela, audition for this, but she wasn't reading the lines how they wanted her to read them, and I think she had some other commitments too. So they knew what they wanted to make. And while I would have liked them to stay true to the original with any of the original actors and actresses that they could, I understand if it's not going to work, it's not going to work. So I think we 100% got what they wanted us to see.
Would you watch this movie again?
Yes. And for I enjoy the movie, but I wouldn't consider this like a great horror movie when you compare it to the other franchises that have multiple movies. But that doesn't mean that it's not an actual fun horror movie. It checks every single box that you could ask for. What do you want in a horror movie? You want lots of deaths. You want a decent amount of gore. Special effects maybe could have been a little better in some cases, but they weren't bad. They're acceptable. Had lots of nudity. And we had a recognizable killer. So to me, this is prime. I rented this movie, and I'm very happy with what I rented. If I had rented this when it came out, so 100% I would watch it again. Watched it several times before, and I'll watch it more times in the future.
And given the opportunity, how do you fix this movie? I have a couple ideas, but what do you do with this?
I thought about this and I couldn't think of any clear-cut way to change something in it without kind of changing what the movie is. But I do want to clean a couple things up that I had some issues with. like the whole, if she got the recommendations for the job, how does she have this job and no one knows who she is type of thing. So to start this movie off, we're going to not lead with the killing of Phoebe. We're still going to have that campfire play out the exact same way, but at the end of the night, everybody just goes back to their bunks. But there is mention of a new female counselor that hasn't arrived yet. One of the guys is going to say something like, I hope she's hot. And another one goes, I have no idea. John interviewed her on the phone. She's coming from out of state. So this is going to explain why they don't know what she looks like. The next morning, we see a car pull up. We get a POV from the woods watching the car. Person gets out of the car. We see someone walk up behind them, kill the person. We know that they're the counselor based on what they're wearing or something like that. The killer takes their ID, and being that this is such a like meta movie, she's going to say, when she looks at it, Angela, what are the odds? So she just killed the counselor named Angela. That way we can keep the name. And I'm also going to change some of the order of the events that happen. There's a kid who actually wants to go home and does get sent home. So we're going to have this happen before any of the campers get killed. After the counselor, but before the campers. Now we've established kids are actually going home. It's believable if it's the first thing we see. So when the next kid goes missing, Angela can say, yeah, I have no idea what's going on. The one yesterday had a breakdown. She wanted to go home. This one came crying to me in the middle of the night, demanded I call her parents. I didn't want to wake anybody up. I took care of it. So it's a continuation of the events that already started to happen. And then I think some of the things make a little more sense that way.
All right. I think that works fine. I think it's a clean enough movie that our changes don't have to be super dramatic, and they work. Yeah. I tackle a couple things a little bit differently, but not in a major way. So first and foremost, her name is not Angela at the beginning of this movie. Whatever her name is, it's not Angela. It's not Angela Baker. It's not Mrs. Baker. It's not Peter Baker. She has a name that has no reference to the prior movie whatsoever. And the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take Uncle John, and she's still going to talk to this Uncle John every now and again, but she will be the only one in the room speaking to Uncle John when she speaks to him. And no one else, like, she never mentions Uncle John to anyone else, and no one else ever discusses this Uncle John. Uncle John is the hallucination of her Uncle John, who died at the beginning of the first movie.
Yeah.
So this movie is basically her just on the warpath for Uncle John. The other thing I'm going to do is the couple of times that someone is telling the story of Camp Arawak, it's going to be her telling the story. It's going to be her telling the ghost story, because I feel like mentally, subconsciously, if she's the one telling the story at the campfire, she's going to be the least likely suspect to be the person re-executing that story, right? So in public, she's going to be as concerned by all these things that are now happening at this camp as anyone else, because she was the one who told this crazy ghost story that now seems to be coming to fruition. And those are just the couple little pieces I want to change, so that as the viewer, I'm not just sitting there frustrated with certain blatantly obvious pieces of execution in this movie, like the fact that her name is Angela in the middle of this camp that's 5 miles from all that stuff. But she'll be the one telling the story. She'll be the one mentioning the sex change. She'll be the one talking to Uncle John when no one else is talking to Uncle John, or referring it, like it becomes weird at a certain point where she's like, she's consulting with Uncle John about something, and then no one else ever says, well, why don't we go talk to Uncle John about this, right? Like, no one else
Right.
even brings this guy up at all. And it's because he doesn't exist, only in her cracked mind. And then we don't have to ask ourselves, well, how did she get the job as a camp counselor? Because she's pretending to be a whole entirely different person, and no one ever catches on. Like, there's not the moment of, maybe there is a moment of realization for somebody, but they immediately get killed afterwards, right? Yeah. Like there's not an opportunity to even propagate that information at all. And there's certainly not a discussion about how their father had arrested her a couple of years ago, unless you want to just actually make that the final piece of the movie and say, like, I know, and that's it, and then revenge, and then the credits.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think the movie can mostly play out the way it played out. Like I said, I think they purposely made this a extremely meta movie, and so a lot of the things that you would write off in other circumstances, you can buy into here, because this is what they're pushing you in this direction on purpose. But yeah, those little tiny tweaks, I think, make it a better movie overall, even keeping within the idea of it being a meta commentary on horror movies in general.
Right.
You don't have to have it be patently obvious to the viewer immediately that that's the girl from the first guy, whatever, that's Peter, right. Angela from the first movie. And this is
especially if it's a different actress.
Right.
Yeah.
And she was a kid in the first one. So even though it's only been 6 years, kids change enough that maybe you don't recognize who it is. And certainly right. You can make the case that in a 6-year window of time, considering the slaughter that happened, it's not exactly going to be kids that are 6 years older that experienced that are going to be lining up to become counselors or campers at this new camp. Yeah. So you can do a better job of burying who she is until the bitter end. And I think that's the key piece that you change to improve this movie.
I like it.
So that has been our bloody take on Sleepaway Camp 2 Unhappy Campers. If you have any comments, questions, or your own take on how to fix this movie, let us know. We're on all the socials: Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, Blue Sky, Twitter. It's One Bloody Take, all one word. We're also at TikTok, _bloody_take. You can find the podcast anywhere you find podcasts: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Substack. Search us out, One Bloody Take. We're there. We drop a new episode every Wednesday. Join us next week when we discuss 1979's Phantasm. I'm Paul.
And I'm Russ.
And thanks for listening to our Bloody Take.